Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Pete Hegseth puts the hammer down not only on this ridiculous Democrat, but on the lawlessness that is happening in Los Angeles. Let's dive in.
Mr. Secretary, I want to express my severe concern with the deployment of the National Guard in Los Angeles without consultation of the state of California. There have been photographs that have shown these troops sleeping on the floor and have not been provided fuel, food, or water by DOD. How long will this deployment last, and why were we unprepared to provide them basic necessities such as food and water?
The commanders and troops on the field are very well prepared, sir. They responded incredibly rapidly to a deteriorating situation with equipment and capabilities. We have made sure from the top down, as a Secretary of Defense who's been in a unit holding riot shields outside the White House during the chaos of the summer of 2020. I know what it's like to be immediately deployed into a situation like that. There are moments where you make do as best you can temporarily, but we are ensuring they're housed, fed, water capabilities in real time from my office, because I care that much about the California Guard and the Marines and the men and women who are supporting our ICE agents on the ground. It's true every day, and that's a disingenuous attack that misrepresents how much we care about our troops and what they're doing to defend ICE agents. I'm not going to take the fact that we don't care about the troops. Nobody cares more about the troops at the top than this Secretary and the Chairman and our department.
How long will the deployment last?
We stated very publicly that it's 60 days. Because we want to ensure that those rioters, looters, and thugs on the other side assaulting our police officers know that we're not going anywhere. We're here to maintain the peace on behalf of law enforcement officers in Los Angeles, which Gavin Newsom won't do.
What is the estimated cost of the deployment for the Guard and the Marines to L.A., and where's this funding coming from? Will it be coming from quality of life programs that affect our service members or our families? If you want to wait till I finish.
Before I hand it to
such as updates, housing and barracks.
Before I hand it to Bryn, the insinuation that we're pulling money from housing and barracks in order to fund this is disingenuous and incorrect.
I'm just asking.
Bryn can give you the numbers, absolutely.
So the current estimated cost is $134 million, which is largely just TDY costs, travel, housing, food, etc.
Where's it coming from? That's the cost, but where's it coming from?
Out of their O&M accounts.
With the most recent deployment of the Marines, Mr. Secretary, what's the justification for using the military for civilian law enforcement purposes in L.A.? Why are you sending war fighters to cities to interact with civilians?
Every American citizen deserves to live in a community that's safe, and ICE agents need to be able to do their job. They're being attacked for doing their job, which is deporting illegal criminals. That should happen in any city, Minneapolis or Los Angeles. And if they're attacked, that's lawless, and President Trump believes in law and order. So he has every authority, and he has done mobilizing National Guard or active duty troops under U.S. code to protect federal agents in their job, which is exactly what we're doing, and we're proud to do it. We're proud to do it.
10 U.S.C. of the U.S. Code 12406 as a legal basis that the President used cites 3 examples and circumstances for the Guard: invasion by a foreign nation, rebellion or dangerous rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States, or the President is unable with regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. Which authority is triggered here to justify the use?
I don't know. You just read it yourself, and people can listen themselves, but it sounds like all 3 to me. If you've got millions of illegals and you don't know where they're coming from, they're waving flags from foreign countries and assaulting police officers and law enforcement officers, that's the problem.
The laws of the United States?
No, the governor of California is unable to execute the laws of the United States. The governor of the California has failed to protect his people, along with the mayor of Los Angeles, and so President Trump has said he will protect our agents, and our Guard and Marines are proud to do it.
The law also says, Mr. Secretary, that the orders for these purposes shall be issued through governors of the states.
You and I both know that President Trump has all the authorities necessary, and thankfully he's willing to do it on behalf of the citizens of Los Angeles, on behalf of our ICE agents, and behalf of our country.
Folks, the whole crux of Pete Aguilar's argument here is that Gavin Newsom is effectively in charge of the National Guards, except when the president can't actually, enforce the laws in certain areas. Now, if we want to go back and take a trip down memory lane, remember when we had the Articles of Confederation, when we had the Whiskey Rebellion, right after our revolution was won, our government was incredibly unstable. And so it set forth a new set of laws under the Constitution in order to make sure everything was more airtight. And in those laws, quite literally, there are capabilities of the president to supersede a governor. Peter Aguilar's entire argument, this Democrat thinks that he has a great point on his hands, but the reality is, it's the exact opposite. The very thing that he's arguing against and trying to trap Pete Hegseth into is his own misunderstanding of basic law set down by our founding fathers and now taking place in front of our very eyes. Hey y'all, here's the deal. Gold loves President Trump. Under Trump's first term, the price of gold soared 53%, and the price of silver jumped 51%. Since the start of the second term, gold has skyrocketed even higher, breaking records and even outperforming stocks. Here's what I like about precious metals like gold and silver. They have been used as a store of value for centuries. Governments can't easily manipulate it. They are used as hedges against market risk and, of course, against inflation. That's why I partnered with the amazing people over at Goldco. Goldco is an award-winning precious metals company. They are fans of this show, and they have helped millions of Americans just like y'all to purchase over $3 billion in gold and silver. Right now, you can get a free copy of their 2025 gold and silver kit. On top of that, you might also qualify for their amazing unlimited silver bonus offer. So don't wait on this. Go to politibrawlgold.com to learn more. That's politibrawlgold.com or call 855-644-GOLD. What's happening in downtown Los Angeles, sorry, not downtown, just Los Angeles in general, although Los Angeles is a group of suburbs just begging to actually have a city somewhere, or at least so I'm told. I've only had one opportunity to visit the place, and that was during a certain summer where everything was locked down, so we changed our vacation plans. I really wish that I could have been able to visit that town. Although, if this is what's really going on, if the amount of lawlessness and the amount of Mexican flags being flown when American flags should be flown, that tells me that there's something really bad going on in Los Angeles. I wonder if it's in the water supply somehow. Although, all kidding aside, you'd think the Democrats would know how to handle water supplies. You know, after the fire nearly burned down the entire city. I'm not saying that to be flippant either. I'm really not. I'm saying that to highlight the point that I don't think Democrats understand what it means to actually govern their own areas. See, most Democrats pretty much vote along two lines. They either vote for the person that's going to make them feel safe in their little ivory towers, in their own little gated communities, or they vote for the person that's going to yell loud enough to get the money back from all the taxes that, the very people in the ivory towers and the gated communities end up paying. That's sort of their entire system. Remember, there's no middle class in the Democrat dream. And you can kind of see that when you read between the lines here. Pete Hegseth is just rattling off honest reality to these questions. He's speaking the truth to the questions that really Democrats shouldn't be asking in the first place, because they hit two truths that are not only too close to home, but a little too uncomfortable. See, the Democrat Party has been begging to take back the ideal that they are the party of law and order. Ever since they lost that mantra in the 1960s, they've been trying to get that back, and it doesn't work. It never does, because, well, the very people that they vote for don't really like that idea of law and order. And then when Pete Hegseth says, yeah, troops are sleeping on the ground, well, guess what? These are Marines. Oh, okay, do you not understand, Democrats, what it takes to be a Marine? All right? Think the worst kind of military exercise multiplied by cancer, and you get the Marine Corps. All right? And that's a compliment. That's a compliment. The kind of training those guys undergo in order to be a part of the elite brotherhood that are the Marines. Yeah, buddy, they're kind of used to this. And by the way, when there's a major debacle, when there is a major riot, a major problem that needs to be dealt with, well, guess what? The military's going to take a day or two without sleep. The supplies are going to take a little bit longer to get there. Because when you're dealing with a disaster like this, the supply chain becomes a little bit weirder, okay? Things in Los Angeles are weird by definition. We've known this for a long time. And so instead of talking about these sorts of issues, you'd think that this Democrat would be asking the better questions of why did Gavin Newsom wait days, entire days, to go out and deal with the National Guard? Because he has just released 800 more law enforcement officers days after Trump committed 2,000 National Guardsmen, all because the number 1 and number 3 requirements, that is, the laws of the president cannot be enforced, and there is a potential insurrection going on. That's why the president is getting involved. This Democrat, Pete Aguilar, has no leg to stand on here. He's trying his best, but he can't blunt what is happening. He can't stem this tide. He has refused time and time again because his entire party, by definition, cannot go after these issues. They cannot talk about these riots. They cannot talk about these insurrections. They cannot talk about the problems that are plaguing the United States, and illegal immigration is a big one. But now we're starting to deal with an even bigger problem. That is people who are born here in the US of A waving Mexican flags while trying to keep American laws away from being executed properly. We have a problem, ladies and gentlemen. Los Angeles, however, here's the good news. Here's the good news about this whole thing. I don't think Los Angeles is going to be a flashpoint. I think this is going to blow over to some degree because the Democrats realize that the American people don't like this. The American people have seen the summer of love, and they've realized, yeah, this nonsense, we can't have any of this anymore. And that's exactly what's going on. And this Democrat is trying to argue his way out of a paper bag and fails miserably. Pete Hegseth handles him perfectly, and good grief, this really is the best the Democrats can do. Isn't it? Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.